second.
I have paint colors here, just so everyone knows. I have tile samples, things that I will reference. We have some pictures as well. We're gonna do this in a kind of modern / old-fashioned way. I have some papers so that I can follow along, and then we have some pictures that we'll just basically hold up to show you. So I think I have the thumbs up from Sam, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so we are gonna be about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, depends how in-depth we get here today. Thank you for joining us. You have reached Jane Lockhart Design, which I am part of a consortium of designers, seniors right through to juniors and people who are learning and apprenticing. And what we do here is we actually do interior design work. We work both in residential and commercial, and we love what we do. We really do feel that you can change how you feel about a space, how you feel about you, based on changing your environment. So that is what we're going to talk about today, is how to affect good change, positive change on your environment. We always take questions from people, so if you have questions, that's what Christine is doing today. She is manning the question board, and she will be firing them over, and we'll start answering them as they come in. But I do have some that people have written in the past, and we've hung on to them. So let me give you a little itinerary of some of the kind of main topics we're going to talk about today.
Jen, do you want to speak a little bit louder?
Sure. We are going to talk about home refreshing. So what are some of the things we can do to refresh our home? We're going to talk about how to transition floors from one material to another, because that is an issue. If you're changing some material out but you're not changing all of it, how do we make that look good? We're going to talk about matching the color of hardwood floors if they are in an older home, because the technology today is different than what we've had in the past. And we want to talk about complementary tiles to a kitchen and a countertop, and just generally look at the kitchen so that we can sort of get a sense of how this is all going to go together when you get a chance to redo your home, or at least part of your home. And I want to give you a few rules just to think about when you want to get started. So as I said, we are designers and we do a variety of different work. So the things that I am going to tell you today come from 30 years of experience and continual work. So we are not influencers. We are people who actually do this job for a living, and these are real situations that we see on a regular basis and our client talks to us about. So that's how we learn answers, and of course, because we get to do it every day, we learn a significant amount. And that's what we're going to do today as we go through some of these questions. So I'm going to start with Greg's flooring dilemma. So right off the bat, Greg, thank you for the pictures. It's really, really helpful. Let me just turn this on for Sam. Okay. I'm going to hold this up just if you guys can see here. This is a picture looking down, a bird's eye view, if you will, of Greg's room here. And what he has in here already is he has a travertine floor through here. That's the part of this picture that has a black band around it. And that travertine is going to stay. If you have anything like travertine or a marble floor that you bought a few years ago, the downside is that there is no match to that today, because that product, especially being a natural stone, is just not available in necessarily the same lot color or the same format. We've run into that before. So Greg very smartly said, okay, I'm going to take out the carpet that's adjacent to the floor, and I'm going to add in a hardwood. But do I add in a color of hardwood that blends with the floor, which would basically be a color like this, a blonde? Or do I do something darker so that it stands out against the floor, which would be something like this, a darker brown? So I'm going to say there's really an easy answer to this. If you want your space to look bigger and more seamless, using the floor is a major part of that context of design, then you're going to pick something like this that is very similar in color to the floor, because that creates one surface all the way through visually. That way it doesn't stop you when you're trying to look. If, on the other hand, you want a more polished look with more emphasis that breaks up the spaces differently, which gives it a more formal or traditional feel, you will use the darker floor. So tone your floors side by side if you want to look bigger and more continuous, even if the materials are different. Break up your floor color if you really want to make it feel as though there's a wall there or a break between the spaces. I don't know if anyone remembers WKRP, Les Nessman. For those of you who do, you might want to look this up. Christine, I'm saying to you, Google this. Les Nessman was the newsman on WKRP, and he was not allowed to have walls around his office, but what he did was taped a line on the floor. So as soon as you draw a line on the floor, or you create a barrier visually between your floor colors, you actually make it seem as though there's a wall or a room. So Les Nessman was right, and interesting, television did teach you something. All right. So that is our question, I think, for Greg. So really good question. Thank you so much. I'm just going to say you're going to have to decide which one you want to do. Do you want it to stand out, the floorings against each other, or do you want them to blend in and have other things stand out? So I'm going to leave it to you, Greg. I look forward to hearing what your decision is. Okay. Next question I have is from Angela, and hers is about color combos. And she's really trying to decide in her condo if she should paint her walls and ceiling the same color. So she's looking at two different colors here. I'm going to show you. These are from Benjamin Moore. She is looking at Shaker Beige and Manchester Tan. So I'm going to hold them up here. So they're with the little sticky notes on them. So I know from what you guys are probably seeing online, they look pretty similar to each other. I don't know if you can see that there. You can sort of see that they look almost identical. In real life, in our light, they actually look a little bit different. So the Manchester Tan has a little bit of a green undertone, whereas the Shaker Beige is really neutral. Probably if you had to put it on tone towards it's not orange, but it's a little bit of a warmer or orange tone to it. So the question is, how do I know which one to use? The Shaker Beige is quite dark, so if you were to put that on the ceiling, it would appear even darker. So I would be inclined to take my white paint and have it tinted with half strength of either of these colors to put on the ceiling. Because when it's on the ceiling, it's automatically darker because it's not getting direct light. So that will help it look more the same as opposed to a darker ceiling. So that's number one. Number two, because the undertones will matter with everything else in the room, I will often use Manchester Tan if I don't want to have a really strong orangey beige feel, because that greenish tone in it offsets that feel. The one place I'm careful about using Manchester Tan though is if I have an eastern exposure, because that light in the morning can be quite green and intensify the green of the Manchester Tan. So if you don't like that look, don't do that. So I'm hoping this is helping. It's all very complex, I realize. So I'm going to say to you, Angela, no problem about painting your walls and ceiling the same color. When you do that, you actually make the room feel kind of borderless in a lot of ways. So whatever you put in front of it stands out more, because now you have no contrast. So you can see that if you have a white ceiling and painted walls, you have more contrast, which naturally breaks up the room, makes your eye move around more in the space to items, including the ceiling and the wall. Whereas when the ceiling and the wall are all the same, my eye now moves from something that's in front of the ceiling or in front of the wall. Angela also says she wants a farmhouse aesthetic. I'm not entirely sure how you define farmhouse aesthetic. That could be lots of natural wood, that could be black and white accents. Any of those elements are part of the farmhouse aesthetic that we've seen in the last few years. So maybe you add in some of those items and paint the walls basically in a neutral beige. All of that will work. I like the Manchester Tan. I think it's a really good option because it does go with everything and doesn't tend to get too beige. And then again, tint the ceiling with half strength Manchester Tan so it all reads as the same. So hopefully that helps. Okay, we have Terry's design dilemma. And Terry has a waterfront cottage, and the living room and the kitchen walls are shiplap, which is a great detail. So shiplap, by the way, is basically where you have the vertical or horizontal boards on the wall, and there's just a little gap between them. So it's kind of like a paneling, only sort of evenly spread out. Coffered beams on the ceiling are stained black, and the kitchen cupboards are white, but the counters are black. So it sounds like a really great black and white scheme. So what I would say is, she's asking, how do I give it a lakeside feeling? Well, you have the perfect background to add that on top of that. And you would do that by adding maybe blue pillows, maybe seashells, accessories that you find at the beach. absolutely helps. It's a really good way to change the look. So one of our rules about refreshing is if the background can remain and stay neutral, then instead try adding more on top of that. Add more color or accessories that communicate the style you're trying to get to, because it's a little bit easier to do and you can change it over the years. So a good bone structure helps you get to that point. You don't need to renovate to do that. So I think that's a really good thing. Black and white is a very good neutral background because it really never goes out of style. You can make it traditional, you can make it modern, you can make it beachside, you can make it whatever you want by what you put in front of it. So if you're looking for a color scheme to hang on to, that would be one of them. And with black and white, trying to get to a little bit more of a beachy feel, I would add sand or that kind of color also into the room, mixed with charcoal, maybe an ivory, and lots of different textures that will add that warmth and the casualness that you find when you're living beachside, which is obviously a way that many of us would like to live in our homes today. And so I hope, Terry, that helps you with your design dilemma. You're in really good direction. You're good. We don't have any pictures there on that one. I am going to look at Jill has a question about her orange and oak refresh, and then we're going to have a look at some pictures that are related to this idea of refreshing. Oh, here I have a picture here. I don't know how long this is going to last. This is what we're looking at here. This is what our question is based on. If you can hold that up there. You guys can see okay. I'm going to put this down for a moment. Jill is looking to refresh her cherry wood dining room table that has lots of gold around it. There is a lot of orange oak wood floor. You guys know what that is. What's a paint color she can use? Okay, let's look at this again, just so everyone is clear what we're dealing with. So many of us will have had this experience sometime in our life where we are close to our friend on the floor, golden oak, or this one is kind of honey oak. You can see the flooring there. It's very, very orange. Then you'll notice that she has a wainscoting in a color, and then she has a gold wall, and then a gold fixture, and a traditional table. So today, we tend not to live so closely by everything matching in the same form like that. Or at least if we do, it's more neutral and less driven by color. So I'm not going to say that we don't live closely for people who do modern farmhouse, for instance. They probably have a lot of aesthetic pieces that speak to that as well. So the number one thing I would do is paint my wall and wainscoting as well as the molding there the same color. Now the best color to neutralize our wall in there is, here's what I'm looking for. So if you have a golden orange hardwood floor, do not rip it out, purchase a color like this. This color is called Balboa Mist from Benjamin Moore. It's a beigey gray, warm-ish tone, very neutral, and will open up the space. It's number one, because we are reducing the amount of contrast, and now we're painting everything the same. So we're going to put Balboa Mist on the wall, floor to ceiling. You can paint your trim as well if you want, but so far we're just painting everything in Balboa Mist. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to change the light fixture. We're going to do something a little bit more contemporary, so maybe do something with a big shade, or it's a long extended lantern. Something that's a little less fussy and lends itself to a little bit more of a dressy but not so busy chandelier of the times. Keep that chandelier, and we're going to put it in another room. Next thing I would do is take off the, looks like a balloon that's on the top of the drapes. It's a valance that I'll ruffly take that off. You can keep the drapes, rehang them on a different rod, just keep the side panels and take off that fluffy part at the top. Those are not going to ever come back. So you do not have to keep this, give this to someone else. Do not worry. The color of the drapes looks okay. It looks taupe in my picture. I don't know if it is, but if it is, it's probably good to keep. I would say if you can afford it, change your chairs around the dining room table. That will make a difference. You can get a fully upholstered chair that is like a Parsons chair. Those are just straight backed upholstered, straight seat upholstered. Lots of retailers sell these. So if you do that in a cream, that will help make the room feel more modern. And last but not least, you can put down a creamy colored carpet that's also in an ivory or a neutral or something very similar to our Balboa mist. You can do this on the floor, and that will hide the orange so you don't see it as much. And then you want super great accessories in the middle of the table, lots of sparkle on them, maybe lanterns, hurricanes, something with a nickel, just to change the feel of the room. So those are all things that are very doable and will look great without spending a ton of money. Hope that helped. Good question, really good question. Okay, Sam and Christine, how's it going over there? Do you have any questions for me? Because otherwise I'm gonna roll into other things.
I have a couple questions.
Christine has some questions.
I do.
Okay.
So we have a bedroom, specifically Cape Cod, that has a slanted wall.
Ooh.
The bed's beside it.
Okay.
And they have a canopy bed. What else can they do to distract from the slant or enhance the space?
Okay, so canopy beds in a slanted a room with sounds like one side of the room is slanted, but the other side isn't. Love canopy beds. Gonna say to you though, they are their own man, if you will, their own person. They kind of need their own space. If you really can part with the canopy part in this room, this might be the place to do that because it's pretty hard to distract from the architecture. I will say though, if you can't and you absolutely love the canopy bed, paint the ceiling, the walls, the trim, everything the same color, so that in the end, the only thing that stands out is that canopy bed. That is the best way of handling that.
Which is great, because the next question is, how do you feel about color washing a bedroom?
Love color washing. So I'm assuming that this room, when they say color washing, you put on a base and then you wash your slightly lighter or slightly darker color over top, and you get this really kind of cloudy, moody texture. That's a really nice look, and that will help to distract from the angle in the room because you're adding something else that's more in front of you to look at. So that will make a huge difference. So I think that's a really good question. I know one of the other questions was, how do I transition from two different floors? Like if I have an old floor here and I have another new floor putting in here, especially hardwoods, how do I put those hardwoods together? I have a picture to show you that I just want to sort of explain, because I know this was a question that's come up a couple times for us.
Color matching or transition?
Transitions. So we call this transitioning, how you transition from one floor to another. It's kind of like Greg's question, where he was saying, how do I transition? Now, Greg had a much easier way of doing it because he had a height change. I don't know if you saw in that picture, it looked like there was a step difference. So here's an example from one of our homes that we've done here, and you can see this is a foyer, and the floor closest to us in the picture is the hallway, and in that hallway is a black tile, and then it changes over to a blonde floor that's down the hallway. So I don't know how you guys can see, but you want to have a really crisp, different transition. So in the end, if you cannot match what's already there, maybe we have some pictures of what not to do, then do something completely different. You're always better to start with something new than try to match something if you don't have the exact thing, because you will see that difference. So here's an example of, right, sometimes you have to do this. This is not terrible, but if you're working with two different hardwoods, you can see here, you definitely want a hardwood that's dark and light, not trying to match the light against another light, because it will just look like you made a mistake. So if you're really desperate and you have to do it this way, do it this way. I know those stripes that are there looks like hardwood. It's not, it's a rug on the dark hardwood floor. Just trying to find. So this is a decent transition. That transition, by the way, happens under the door, not at the beginning of the doorway. Otherwise that color sneaks into the next room when you close the door, so you don't want to do that. Look at your own doors at home and notice there's a middle piece there. That's where the change happens. Here's another example where we've gone from a darker hardwood to a lighter hardwood. So again, they're a little bit different, which helps. This is beneficial because I know that there's a change and I'm not trying to match. It's only when you're sort of trying to match and you put down something that's kind of similar to one or the other that it's really challenging. Now, some brands today will do custom colors. Oh, here, this is the one I was looking for. This is what we don't want to do. And I'm not being critical for any other reason than to say, because they're so similar, it looks like one of the two of them is a mistake. So we want to try to be a little bit more definite or change material altogether. So not hardwood, you switch to tile, and you have a transition between a tile and another material. That helps. Today, I'll just say, when we do house building, we do not put the marble threshold down. Between the kitchen and the family room hardwood, we do not do that. We do not put a change of material between any of our materials. For the most part, we all want to try to get everything at one level, more or less the same, because it's safer, easier to move through the house. Less like if you have a sunken room, sometimes it's a little scary because people fall down a stair because they don't expect to see the stair. That's why we don't see much of that anymore. It's just not safe. Okay, a couple other things to talk about. Color matching tiles, countertops. What do you have over there, Sam?
I also have, we have a couple other.
Oh,
questions.
more questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
questions.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So there is a space with eastern exposure. The
Okay.
walls are painted in white down, and the western's fine, but the eastern exposure is not. What should they do? to
When we
reduce the
say it's not to reduce,
the green.
oh, in white down,
Mhm.
really? CC50. Oh, this is the deck. CC50. Hold on. Why can I not find this? I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Just so everyone can see this color. This is it right here. So this color traditionally has a warm undertone in it. It's what I would call an antique white. So in the past we used to do this color quite a bit. So I don't know if there's anything on that wall where you have the white down. So the question is, it's turning green. So eastern exposures will always turn paint colors more green. Now in some colors that's great. So if you have terracotta on your wall and you don't love terracotta, the green on it will turn it more brown. So it will go more browny beige, so that's good, right? It helps you get a better look, for the color. On the other hand, if you have something like a white down and you're like, oh, I don't want it so green, it's gonna tint that lighter color so it looks greener, and it may not be a color that you really like the look of. So what I would say is, if you have not put artwork on that wall, this is a really good opportunity to add artwork. Anything that has more of an orange, a brown, creams, textures, anything like that, even a canvas that's more the neutral pattern that we're seeing a lot of right now, where the artwork is quite neutral, or black and white, will significantly change how you see the paint color, because now you have something in front of the paint color that's making you read that paint color differently. You could, of course, repaint that wall or all the walls if you wanted, and pick something that has more warmth to it so that it kind of counteracts the that green coming in. I'm going to say a color like crisp linen. This might be an option. Or I want to say white dove. Maybe white dove. That one on the top looks a little green too here, because we actually have west exposure here, but it's really barren out the window. But either of those would help. You can see the one here, this side, that's the crisp linen, may help to counteract that green. And now that you're aware that that is a problem wall, maybe when you do a new color, you test it and see what it does. Or, okay, I'm gonna go out on another limb here, you make that wall an accent wall, so that when the sun comes in and hits it in the morning, you get a different color altogether that has no green in it. So colors that have no green have orange undertones. So anything that's a rosy, pink, cream, purple, that's got the rose in it, obviously terracottas, blushes, corals, there's warm blues, there's cool blues. A warm blue would help. Any of those will help counteract that green to it. So just a thought. The last thing you could do is paint it green. Just go hard, go for the olive. Maybe that's what that wall's asking for. Just saying. The other thing you could do, by the way, is add greenery to the wall, because any green against the white white down will actually make the wall look whiter. So just a thought. Okay, another question, Christine?
We have a few. What is trending in ceramics or tiles, color and form?
Good one. Lots of color today, lots of texture, and the people who make porcelains have worked out that if they just copy everything else, you will buy a tile in that. So we have wood tile, we have tiles that look like leather, obviously tiles that look like marble, and any kind of fabric you can find in a tile. So I'm going to say any textile that is traditionally not a tile is now a textile in tiles as well. But I will say certainly any of these kind of looks where you have lots of veins through it, marbles, very, very popular. This is actually a porcelain. This is actually from a porcelain sheet just because of the thickness here, but same kind of idea. So we have lots of that. This is in a sort of semi-gloss as opposed to high gloss. Really nice look. Any of the high gloss tiles, very popular right now. This is, and you can see if I move it around, it's quite glossy. So again, that sort of light marble white look, and then lots of color. This one's not super colorful, but just giving you an idea. You guys can see that there. Veining, taupes, creams, also definitely moving in that direction. Just put these two together so you can kind of see like this kind of direction of color. So a little less white, a little more tinted. I think we've had peak white. Doesn't mean white's going anywhere. White's always popular because it's easy to live with and easy to put your own stamp on. But I do think what we're seeing is a mix of other things added in. So lots of those rich dark colors, jewel tones like emeralds, burgundies, rubies, corals, deep golds, forest green, emerald green, black green, all of those navies are definitely strong too in tiles as accent walls. So that's something we're for sure seeing.
Okay, shall we keep going?
Yeah.
What do you think about, so there, for kitchen backsplash suggestions, they have a gloss white kitchen and a black island. If slabs aren't doable, what tiles would you recommend?
Oh, on the backsplash.
I believe so.
Yeah, so you have lots of options on your backsplash. Like I just happen to have these here, but we have this one is from Olympia Tiles. This is really nice. This is a white polished marble. You can see here, so it's got the thickness to it. Now marble, it's hard to see here, but marble actually has a translucency to it that the porcelains can't really reproduce in the same way. They're getting close, they're just not there yet. So something like this would be great because you have a black and white, but here we have an almost white and a really nice creamy color sort of background with gray through it. So that's really good. Now there is definitely subway tiles, which are still popular today. See, this is an extra long one. So a traditional subway tile is 3 inches by 6 inches. This one is 12 inches by 3. I think it's 3, yes. So lots of that. And there's even longer ones today that are 16 inches by 2 inches. So clean backsplashes with a stacked tile, which means the tile is stacked right on top of each other and the grout does not go back and forth, is a more modern take on that. If you find you want a little bit more texture, then you would do it alternating or 30-70 split, so instead of 50-50 down the middle. Those are all popular. And any kind of tile that has like a ripple or looks like a handmade feel, that's also a really nice antidote to add. So, okay, what other questions do we have there?
Okay, so if you were thinking of painting a bedroom one color, walls, ceiling trim, and doors, so color drenching, how do you feel about that?
Sure. So what color would I paint an entire bedroom? That depends what you want to live in. So what is comfortable for you? I tend to go through phases in that in the winter time. Now we're up here in Toronto, so in Canada, and we really do get winter. And for us, I mean, this would be the same as Minnesota, probably any of the eastern seaboard states, Quebec, most of Canada, basically. I always love that idea of having one room that's dark and cozy, you know, where you feel like you want to snuggle in it. Even like a rainy day, you know, so maybe don't get winter, but you have those rainy, dreary days. I love that idea of snuggling in it. So I love the idea of a navy blue or an olive green. So good navy would be, there's Hale Navy from Benjamin Moore, which is just a really nice blue, really super. I'm not going to be able to find it because I'm looking for it. But that one's a really good one. You can look it up. Another good one is a really great olive. What olive do I like? Just talking about this here? Everything okay there, Sam? You okay?
Yeah, I think you froze on Instagram.
Oh, am I unfreezing now?
Working on it.
There's Hail Navy, great color, really, really good option if you want a really snuggly room. This room is really, or this color is really good too. This is Newburyport Blue. We've actually done that one. Great color as well. Nice and just wonderful to snuggle up in. Both of those are good. Olives, oh right, we were talking olive. Let me show you a good olive. I like me, it's a little too yellow. I kind of like a grayish. Like I would like personally something like Gettysburg gray.
Oh, we might have to pause for 1 second, Jane.
Mm-hmm. So I like that one, Gettysburg, we're good with that. So those are the kind of colors I like. Now for a bedroom, I don't know that I could go that dark because I'd have to live with it all year. Whereas if I have a den and I do it that way, I'm not in it all the time, I can choose to go in it. So for a bedroom, I might be inclined to look at, I would do something a little bit lighter. This is just me, because I feel like I could live with it longer. Oh, here, is this the same? I might do this one again. I'm gonna go back to Balboa Mist or Greenwich Gate, something like this, which is a greeny beige, because I feel like it's neutral enough that it's not so strong.
Jane, we're gonna pause on this one because it's just a poor connection. Okay. Oh, oops.
But can I carry on?
Yeah, you can
Facebook?
carry on.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. And then, oh, here's the other one, Stone Hearth. This one I would do as well, right there. That one. So it's deep enough. It doesn't look super deep here, but I feel like you could do your walls, ceiling, floor, everything in this color, and it would be like really nice to put other like linens against it. Like see if you add that cream to it, it looks beautiful. So you could have like a cozy sweater in the wintertime, and then in the summertime add like light linens with it, and it would just be beautiful. That's my thought on that.
If you
Mhm.
have a very dark living room / dining room that's
Mhm.
currently painted in pashmina and it's too dark, what color would you suggest?
Okay, so lightening up rooms, definitely the paint color will help. The floor covering will also help. So if you have a dark floor, add light carpets on. That will help a lot because it will bounce more light up. This is one of my favorite colors. It's very neutral, so it means you have to do more on the decorating. You can't depend on the paint, but it will help. This color here called Classic Gray. This is a great color in that it's a warm tone color without being beige. It's not too beige, which I think right now most people are like, oh, I don't know if I want anything too beige, but you can certainly do that. It will help. The other thing I'll say is any color that has yellow in it will appear brighter than a color that doesn't. So that would give us Dove Wing, which I don't know how easy it is to see here, but look these up. These are Benjamin Moore colors. This is Dove Wing. You can look at that one. And this one, which I really like as well, although it's a little bit more tinted or toned, meaning it has gray in it. This one is called, where is it gone? Plaster of Paris. This is a good color too. So these are good neutrals that will look like you did something. The other thing I recommend is painting your ceiling white, but a white that doesn't have a gray undertone. So you might have a look at Benjamin Moore's Cloud White, Oxford, well, not Oxford, Cloud White or Chantilly Lace. Have a look at both of those and paint your trim in that too. That will also help lighten up the room. And then all your furniture and accessories, try to get them medium toned or lighter. That will help.
And what do you think about, I love this question, wallpaper in a powder room when the rest of the home is Balboa Mist and revered
Oh,
pewter?
wow, it sounds like we know this person. Okay, Christine knows my answer to this because we work together frequently on projects, and we love wallpaper in the powder room, don't we, Christine?
Big time.
We do. You know why we love it in there? Because you don't use the powder room, your guests do. So we don't care is how we feel about it, meaning we, as in the owner of the home, we want to put something in there that's dramatic and exciting and allows you to invest in your own design feelings without having to think, what did I do? Because you're not living in it all the time, and you don't have to hear your partner say, what the heck did you do, if you share your home with someone else. This way, you just do what you want. It's for the guests to talk about, and I tell you, there are so many little tricks of things you can put in the powder room. You know what I'm going to say? One of my favorite things in the powder room is if you have a vanity, I always put like a photo album, an old photo album, a magazine that's maybe a little risque in there, because you know what? Then you'll find out if people are looking in your vanity in the powder room. Just a little trick. Love to have party tricks. Just saying.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right? Any other questions, Christine?
We have a couple. If
Okay.
we have some time.
Yeah, we're
When-
going to be out of time soon, but let's try them out.
When choosing a color, do you pick the same undertones between paint colors?
Interesting. When choosing a color, do we choose the same undertones? It depends what we're doing. Sometimes that undertone is not really relevant because the other materials around it are stronger players, so the undertones between the paints don't matter. But I do find that a lot of people like throughout the house may, like, if they're doing kind of neutral story, may prefer to have a gray undertone among all of those paints all the way through, so that it feels a little bit more continuous and connected between rooms. So I'll just say that I do think it's nice to have undertones that are connected through paint colors. And if you can't see that, you think, I don't know what you're talking about, if you go to your paint store, your local paint store, there's always someone in there that can help you with that, so that the undertones make sense, and it's usually a free service and it's completely worth it.
Last, I think, just a general one, is any bedroom color suggestions?
Okay, good question. The question is, any suggestions for bedroom paint colors? So I'm assuming paint. If it's not just paint, then definitely all your accessories. So right now, what has been trending, of course, is all of our neutrals. They have been doing very well. Like I was saying before, Dove Wing, Classic Gray, this one here, Balboa Mist. All three of these are really great bedroom neutrals. So you can use these at home and paint a wall and still feel like you have color without it being too much. So that layering of soft neutrals, tone on tone, very nice. However, if you're looking for a little bit more color, I'm just gonna find my color here. This one I think is also a very nice bedroom. I think I'd mentioned this before. This is called Greenwich Gate. This is a really nice color because it's a green with a gray undertone, so it changes depending on the season and the accessory color you put with it. This is beautiful with corals or apricots, but also very nice with blues. So any of those very soft olives look beautiful. And I have to say, I'll never find the color quickly, but there's a color from Benjamin Moore called Iceberg. And I always think of it as iceberg lettuce, but it's actually not iceberg lettuce color. It's a really, really pale blue. It actually looks beautiful in a bedroom because it's not too blue, but it's very ethereal. So it just feels like you're in the clouds without feeling like I'm in a baby's room. So it's a really good color. Look it up. Again, just like I said, I won't find it quickly to show you, but I think it is completely worth looking at if you ever get a chance and you're just looking for a very light, soft color that you can combine with great linen colors, soft taupes, whites, creams. It's just a really great color. I think that that's probably our time. I am going to just give you a couple tips here quickly for refreshing your home. Number one thing is when you transition from one room to another, make the transition either seamless so you can't tell at all, or make it deliberate because you're going from an old material to a new material. It's just better looking in the long run. If you want to refresh your home in an, I don't want to say easy way because nothing is ever easy, but easier way without doing renovation, go through your house and pick one thing in each room to update. So in the kitchen, you might want to update the handles on the kitchen cabinets. If you go into the dining room, you may want to change the accessories on the dining room table. As you move into maybe the bedroom, you might want to change your sheet set. So each one of these don't have to connect to the other, although that could be part of how you refresh, But by doing each of those, you will feel that you have made a change in each room to deliver a new feeling for you. And by all means, you can do more, but this is a good way to just refresh gradually, but to also feel as though you've touched main parts of the house. Anything more that we should add, guys? Nope. Okay. Well, for those of you on Instagram, I see that Sam has probably had some challenges trying to keep our connection here, just the way the internet goes. But you can find this on Facebook, or on Facebook, YouTube at any point, and on YouTube. So you can go back and look at it there. That's certainly a good place. We also have other videos on YouTube. Feel free to go and look at those. We are practicing designers, so everything that we are delivering to you, we have experienced, practiced, tried, learned, put on the wall to see if it works, and can validate for sure that it did or did not. So this is your place to come if you want real information, and we can also tell you the horror stories because we've learned them, so you do not have to. Anyway, I want to say thank you to everyone who did tune in. I know it's a Saturday, it's a summer, Wednesday summer, so thank you for being here. And if anyone is tuning in and they sent me a message about my Baxter, I just want to say thank you. He is near and dear to my heart, and I appreciate it extremely a lot. I can't talk about it because it makes me cry. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sam, for putting this together. Thank you, Christine, for pitching in today. I really appreciate it. Now we're going to go back to our design job because our clients are probably wondering, when is my job getting done? So thank you. Mwah. Bye.